My name is Joel Sumner, and I despise our current system, that being democracy. It's also a system where we have corruption. I mean, that's what democracy is. It's just corruption. It's gang law. I mean, democracy literally means majority rule, and majority rule literally means mob rule. So we don't have a system of law right now. We have a system of chaos. What I would like to do is change our system to one of justice, right? And one of simplicity. You see, right now, if you end up in litigation, I mean, how much does it cost you to go to court with some lawyer? If you, on the other hand, simplify the system, we can go to court with a lot less, and lawyers could probably be a lot cheaper. So what's the problem right now is that, there's 14 million different laws, then there's 40 million different interpretations of those laws, and then there's your guess. So in a just system of law, you'd have really basically one law, which is no trespassing. Now, admittedly, it would expand a little bit from there to explain different kinds of trespassing, but that's where you get the common law. This is ancient law from hundreds of years ago, which is the base of many legal systems around the world. So you actually don't really need written law, mostly, if not entirely, because what you have is you have the common law, which is actually unwritten, which is, again, the base of the legal system around the world. Now, when you start to understand the common law well enough, you realize that you can't possibly have a democracy with common law, which of course, go figure, you think 10,000 years ago, we were able to have some kind of writing system where we could have the laws that we have today? That's craziness. No way. 10,000 years ago, they had to have much more simple laws in order to deal with society. Well, they had laws. It was called the common law. And the base, again, of that system is the concept of no trespassing. So I would think all the laws in common law, or all the laws in common law, they all come from that concept. So I think that in order to fix the system, we need to go back to a system more like the common law. And then we have other problems in our system. Look at our education system. Our education system maybe teaches us some very good things. For example, they teach us math skills, teach us language, but they also waste our time in things like political science. What we need to do is, I think, allow our education system to be much more diverse, where parents can choose to send their children to all sorts of different kinds of schools, which instead of discouraging them because they have different curriculums, we should encourage them. As long as they're teaching children things that are of value to the parents, or and hopefully of value to the children, right? But why do we as a society force our children to go to one particular, or maybe they can go to different schools, but they have to follow one basic curriculum? We should allow our children to have diverse views, diverse educations, so that way we can have a world which has all sorts of flourishing thoughts instead of uniformity. And I also think that we've got to change our system from one where we basically have reliance on the police to stop crime to reliance on everybody to stop crime. Right now, if you want a crime stopped, you have to go to the police. And if you go to the police and they don't like you, or they don't like who you're complaining about, or they like who you're complaining about, so they want to help them, or they've received a bribe, or anything else, you're basically screwed. Well, if you go back to the common law, it's actually your legal obligation to help the person who's a victim of a felony. If you fail to do so, you can be arrested for the crime of breaching the king's peace, or you can also be sued from that person for the negligence that you engaged in and the harm that you caused by failing to arrest that person. This would result in people making sure that any felonies that they knew had in fact been committed, they stop. Instead of now, where they can just turn a blind eye because they take no accountability. And that's another thing, is this is a system right now of basically no accountability. I mean, you can't even really sue a judge. I read one case where somebody sued a judge claiming corruption, and they dismissed the case immediately and charged $100,000 in costs awarded to the judge that was alleged to be corrupt. And they claimed that the person, the lawyer, I think they went on and on and on. So that's what lawyers do, right? There's almost no way to sue a judge. And this lawyer got disbarred for what? For suing a judge. That was the only thing, right? There's no reason why that kind of thing should happen. If somebody wants to sue a judge, right, they should be allowed to sue a judge. Now, in my opinion, if a judge is sued for, say, issuing some wrongful bad order, that's not necessarily the judge's personal responsibility. That would be the king's responsibility, because the judge represents His Majesty the King. So the king would take responsibility for the judge's act, and if you sue, you sue the judge might be dismissed from the case because the king says, I take responsibility. On the other hand, if you sue the judge for corruption, the king is going to say, look, I didn't authorize that. I'm not taking any responsibility for that. And the king will allow the lawsuit to go forward. Whereas now, as I said, case dismissed, $100,000 fine or $100,000 cost order awarded to the judge that was corrupt. This needs to change. And the time for change was yesterday. So I propose that what we look into is finding a way back to our roots, back to our history, and back to law. Long live the king.